Welcome to the Curmudgeon in the Cellar, Diamond Edition 75. Never thought I'd have done that. Plus, that's not all of them. There's some others in there that aren't numbered. And I'm going to put up a new one. I'm going to call it the Curmudgeon's Writer's Block Cure. I'm going to tape myself. I'm going to record about a half hour of the fish in my tank swimming around, because it is an established, proven fact that watching an aquarium full of fish has a calming, mind-clearing effect. I know that when I was in Lake Geneva, and when we had taken over the gray house, I had a 20-gallon tank directly behind me when I was typing, and I'd get a block, I'd go 180, and I'd watch the fish. And 5 or 10 minutes later, I'd turn around and I'd go back to writing. So it's just a little service that I'm going to offer. You're welcome. Bunch of things to talk about. Again, this one. Understanding Gary sent David Hargrave a cease and desist for using, quote, Dungeons and Dragons, quote, in his gaming material. Well, it wouldn't have been Gary. It would have been the company, signed by Gary as president, but the company would have done it. And was there any ever thought to hire him? Are there any comments you'd make about the Ardwin Grimoires? Well, I probably sold him advertising at one point or another. I seem to recall that. And when it came to legal stuff like C&Ds, I was never, ever involved in any of that. I wasn't a stockholder at the beginning. That was purely stockholder stuff. What meant it was Gary and Brian and Brian's dad. And Brian voted his dad's stock, I believe. In any event, I wasn't involved. I still feel that they went about the trial in Minnesota the wrong way and should have taken me with as a witness, but they decided not to, and we all know how that came out. Of course, we don't know if I'd been any better, but by God, it might not have been much worse. In any event, the Grimoires were one more ancillary product, and nah, I didn't read them all. I didn't look through them all. It's about all I can tell you about that. That was a long, long time ago. Okay, here's a public service announcement on behalf of some person sent this in. It's on behalf of the DMs Guild website. Many of the OSR community, I don't think many realize that OD&D and AD&D PDFs and some prints on demand are now available at the DMs Guild website. So there's a public service. If you're going to talk about something, read it and then talk about it intelligently. I know. I don't expect that's many of your problems, but Lord knows there's enough others on social media talking about stuff unintelligently. I was looking at my copy of White Plume Mountain and remember someone telling me that the reference to Dragotha on the map was simply window dressing that Gary liked, and so he left it. Do you know the story behind Dragotha? Well, keep in mind that at this point in time, the creative people were downtown in the hotel. It's my understanding at this point in time that people were auditioning, so to speak, applying for jobs by turning in adventures, writing adventures. And I know the RPGA was soliciting adventures. So whether this came through the RPGA or it was as a straight up guide, I don't know. I have no idea. The only thing I really, and Dragotha, I think, knowing Gary's sense of the mysterious, he probably left it on there just so everybody wondered what the hell it meant. We did things like that back then, threw out non sequiturs and let people wonder about it. So that's highly possible. The only other thing I know about it, or I can't say I know about it. The only other comments I ever heard about it was I had a couple of people down their nose going, "Hey, and you guys didn't even realize that those were a series of lifts all slapped together." And I had a couple of people say wasn't very original. It looked like it just picked up pieces here and there and put them all together in a cut and paste I don't know. He got hired. It sold some copies. Don't know. I keep looking over because I'm not wearing glasses because I don't want to flare out tonight. So, okay. All right. Since anything is fair game, I've always been curious about how often should item saving throws come into play in the first edition AD&D, or more specifically, how they're intended to be used. As a semi-related note, DMG page 81 indicated magic armor bonuses to saving throws to falling damage. Is this the only armor surviving a fall? Is this only for the armor surviving a fall? Or was there at one point a mechanic for characters to take reduced damage from falling that was just never implemented in the final version of the game? Well, actually, that is the explanation. Magic armor adds to your saving throw on damage. So, if it's a +2 and you missed your saving throw by, 1 or 2 points, oh man, that armor just kept you from taking full damage. How often do you use the saving throw on the magic item? When called for, which in my experience is really, really seldom. Pardon me. I might if something cataclysmic exploded or went off in a small room containing magic stuff, I might see if it survived. The only time I can really remember doing this much was with my old first group. Once or twice, somebody got pretty much fragged, and they were wanting to know what was left. So, yeah, they were going to, hey, Bob, sorry you're dead, but I sure do like that axe you had. And so I might have done it then. Magical armor and falling was supposed to be an inherent quality, like a minor feather fall or something. And it didn't like slow you, but maybe it absorbed more of the hitting damage, the impact damage. Maybe it was less harmful on impact. I don't know. It was magic, and people didn't demand parsing the lines and the paragraphs down the demand they do to try to find some hidden meaning. And I'm not trying to be snarky here. At the time, it was, it'll add to your saving throw on a fall. And we didn't really get into a lot of magic items surviving, but that should be a common sense call on the DM running the thing, I would think. Just my opinion. Okay. Short rant. Why are so many board games getting so many pieces that we have to buy other boxes to keep them all in? And yes, Kickstarter is to blame, because if we couldn't kickstart these games, we couldn't possibly afford to produce them and still sell them at $70, $80, $100 a pop. 3 examples. All good games. Rising Sun, Scythe, Escape from Dulce, which, by the way, is still looking good. It was Dulce that made me go out and do this again. I went, I was at the Home Depot, and they had a really nice Husky double-sided plastic box full of divided compartments and tubs and stuff, marked down from $20 to $10. So I snagged one, and it was perfect for Dulce, for Escape from Dulce. Perfect. Holds all the stuff. It'll make them better. It'll hold them better. They won't get as scuffed up and beat up, and the edges won't start to delaminate and stuff. But it seems like we got to do it. Now, there's companies that are making good livings on making wonderfully crafted little wooden inset boxes that go into, right? Scythe, I know, is one of them. They're doing that, and there's some others. Just something I've noticed. We used to think it was a big deal if a game had 300 counters. A real big deal. Now, who cares? We'll just, make as many as we need. I will give kudos to the demented cow or mad cow people with Dulce. They know a good suggestion when they hear one. Dulce is a game that lends itself well to suspension, as long as you can remember where everything is. So I'm hoping that they took my suggestion that they'll provide some black and white outlines of the levels so we can just mark them up with what's what when we suspend the game, and that would make it even more fun because it's a long game, especially when you're learning. I played White Box 1E, 2A, and currently 5E. One thing I've found they all have in common is that I have a hell of a good time playing. Well, that is the point, isn't it? It is the point. And that's what I've been trying to say ever since I started this. And sometimes I've said it badly. Sometimes I've said it incorrectly. When I've dismissed skills and abilities and kind of poo-pooed them, it's because I really don't understand why people needed them. And that's kind of a snotty, superior attitude because I didn't need them. But there again, not everybody came to gaming in the same way I did. And so if this makes me a gatekeeper or a grog, well, I don't apologize for being a grog because that's got a better meaning. But if this is a gatekeeper, well, that's not what I want to be. If you're playing right, play. Everybody plays what they like. Pathfinder people like Pathfinder. Hackmaster people like Hackmaster. Swords and Wizardry people like Swords and Wizardry. Mutant Crawl Classic. Whatever you're playing and having fun at is the right thing. Okay, this is about the story. Thanks for answering the question. The story is the thing. It's fun as a GM or a player to watch a party change during the campaign, along with the impact they have on the setting. That's right. If it's not changing, it's getting stale. If it's not changing, it's getting stale. That means that you're either falling down on the job or they're all locked in a prison or trapped underground from a landslide and they haven't dug their way out yet. Let's face it, we're human beings and we lose our attention span is lost eventually if we aren't interested. Now here's a great comment. And this is as good a definition or a way to wrap your head around, an old phrase there, wrap your head around the concept of hit points. We've always translated hit points as basically poise, the character's skill in combat. Only the level 1 hit point total is the actual physical damage the body can take. But I've been playing since 1980, and this is just the thinking since then. Well, if that's the way you've been playing since 1980, way to go. I think that's a great way to look at it. Great way to look at it. And I could see taking it half a step further. If only your first die, which you would obviously note, say you got a 5, you lucked out. Okay, until you get down to 5, it's not meat. You get points inside that 5 that didn't kill you, that's meat healing. And if you wanted to, you could say, oh man, you got down to 1 point, that's serious wounds, that's going to take a long time to heal. But hey, if you got 35 points and you only got down to 11, that's not meat. I could see setting up a quicker recovery time. Just me, just the way I might play it. And your mileage may vary. Don't know. And let's see, maybe the antithesis of gatekeeper is gate crasher, gate breaker, doorman, on and on, door stopper, guide guy, or something nice guy who helps people find fun games. Well, I hope it's the latter, because that's what I tried to do through all my years of magazine publishing. I tried to turn people on to fun games. Now, granted, I had the temerity to think if I thought it was fun, you might too. Well, I always thought I kind of had an everyman's taste and a good idea that if something was going to be fun, I've found a few gems that I've been proven right on. Obscure games that have proven to be great fun. And that's kind of what I do. I bring new games to the con. Oh, excuse me. It's getting late. So on that note, and on the 75th, see, did I miss anything? I think I got everything on there. I think that's it. I'll give you a little tease. I'm putting together a new product. Every DM likes to have NPCs. I know we used to love them in the old days, and up at Lake Geneva, if you were a bunch of 2nd, 3rd level, 4th level guys, and you needed a hired gun, you went out and you got a 6th level hedge wizard or whatever. Now he might have taken 40% of your stuff, as his take, but you went out and you got expertise you didn't have. So I'm going to publish mine. And mine are all what I would consider, back in those days, high level in the standards of 1st edition AD&D. They all have backstories, histories, about a 1-page history, each of them. And they all have all the goodies they've accumulated during their course of adventuring up to this point in time. So we're thinking about putting that together into a little pamphlet type booklet and publishing it. So that's one of the many irons I have in the fire right now. And before my fire goes out, it's probably time to say goodbye.